Welcome back to the channel. Brandon with Davidson Audio, and today we're not going to be talking about an Indian or a Harley, but we're actually going to be talking about what got us started down the rabbit hole of motorcycle audio to begin with, and that would be our old Victory Cross Country. Alright, so to give us some background to this motorcycle, this right here is a 2016 Victory Cross Country Tour. I actually bought this bike quite a long time ago. I'd have to go double check the dates. I want to say it was like 2017 or maybe 18. I bought it from our local dealership here in Panama City, Florida, Indian. This was my first actual bagger. Before this, I had 2 Victory Hammers, a handful of sports bikes. You know, I was one of those typical, well, I'm not going to get an old man bike. I'm going to ride sports bikes forever. Well, and guess what? We all change, and you know, our taste changes. So we bought this bike, and first thing I did to it was, you know, your typical performance stuff. I did Freedom True Dual Exhaust, which is still on the bike today. And I think after that, we took it down to Kevin Cross, did the Lloyd's cams, the timing wheel, the air filter, and then he did a whole tune on it, put out some good power. So we're super happy with it. And then I started dabbling into motorcycle audio, and I'm like, never really gone down this rabbit hole. So I started talking to some people, and that's where I first learned about Eric Ebro. If you're not familiar with him, it's because you don't know a lot about the Victories. Eric Ebro is one of the leaders in the double dent head units for these bikes. I'll show you how it was set up on this bike. So I reached out to him and I talked. He wealth of knowledge, gave me all sorts of knowledge and everything. So we sat down, over the phone, we talked for quite a while. I ended up getting his head unit for it, and then we went with a sound digital amplifier, which I think is the one that's in here now still today. And then I started with a bunch of different brand speakers. I think at the time it was Crescendo is what we started with, and then it evolved to what's in there now with the Hertz. So yeah, it just kind of went down on a complete rabbit hole with this bike. And this is the bike that started all of this, because we did the first audio system on this. I rode it for quite a long time, and I sold it to my buddy Jake, who actually is going to be coming to pick this up next week. And he's been riding it, and finally it came back to us to get it fixed before it goes out to the new owner, because over time the head unit got a little bit of moisture in it and the head unit went out, which happens. I mean, when we're putting head units in these bikes, in time you're going to get a failure. So it was really nice to see this bike come back in here and to see that it wasn't really anything that we did. It was just over time the head unit gave out. So we're going to talk about what we had done to this bike originally. I'm going to discuss what we did, and I'm going to clip over to some clips back then showing you the install all walk around. So when we'd done this, we did the Eric Ebro head unit, which sent the signal to a DSR-1 that we had installed up on the side, which was not on this side but the clutch side of that. And then from there it sent the signal to this dinosaur of an amplifier. If anybody is familiar with these amps, you know right there, that thing's a dinosaur and absolute workhorse, super reliable. Obviously it's been in the bike forever and still working really well. So we had that, and then we switched over to the Hertz SV165, the non-Neos. These are the ferrite ones. In the fairing, we had the ST25 horns in front of them, and then in the bags we actually have the Hertz. You know what, let's just go show you. So in the lids we actually have the MPX Milli Pro 6x9 3-ways with another ST25 horn right there. So those have been in here, and we use Hertz products in a lot of our builds as well. The thing about Hertz is it's super reliable. They sound phenomenal, and they last a very long time, as you can see. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to cut you over. Let me get that glare off here. I'm going to cut you over to the footage that we took of this bike back then and let you guys see how the build was that we did, and then we'll wrap this up. following that footage, obviously that's how we had done this complete install on that bike. I want to take a chance. I'm going to flip you around. We're going to walk around this build again just to show you how it's leaving here. And like I said, this is the same amplifier, same speakers, same wiring, same power and ground, everything that was in that bike when we did that install. So I'm going to flip you around and show you everything in here and talk about one thing that we did back then, which is a learning curve and that we're not doing now. And then we're going to take this bike outside and give it a listen. All right, let's start with what we did differently now versus back then. So at the time I knew nothing about this water repellent material up here. So this is 309 Custom Audio's fairing shroud. Great group of guys up there. If you honestly need anything for your victories, reach out to them. They sell those, they're laser cut, they fit the exact same every single time. Super important to have those on these bikes. So at the time when I went to sell it, it was very crucial to me to protect that amplifier. So back then I was like, well, we'll just go get 1/8 inch acrylic and we'll heat it up and mold it around the amplifier and send it. So that's exactly what we did. I took some acrylic and I put a self-tapper in it over here and over here. And then I proceeded to heat up the acrylic till I could get it to come down and mold over this amplifier all the way around. And if you see right here, this white right here and here and here was just a little bit of rubbing contact that acrylic and amplifier had together. But it held up. It worked for a really long time. It kept the amplifier dry. It didn't overheat. So it's just one of those things, you know, you try something back then and it actually works, and you live and you learn and you don't do it again. So what we did here is we made a custom ABS mount that holds the amplifier, and also we took the cage from the head unit and it is secured to this mount. So this mount is for the amp and it holds the head unit in there. The head unit clicks in there just like it's meant to. And then on the sides here, I took some aluminum stock and I cut it to the same length as this and drilled and tapped it into the cast of the frame here. So that way our amplifier here bolts in using a couple of bolts. There's one of them right there. So the amplifier is super secure in here. It's bolted in back here. It's bolted in all 4 corners, so that way the only vibration you're gonna get out of that is from the actual bike moving and everything. And then as you can see, we got nice clean wiring all here, wire ferrules, everything. At the time I only had black shrink tubing and everything, so we put a little band here. And then we ran our wires in parallel with each other. So here's 2 quick disconnects for each speaker. These are the XT60s. Yeah, XT60 connectors. So the wiring's all nice and Tessa taped up, exterior Tessa tape here, and then it goes to loom. And I thought at the time it'd be cool to do red loom. Same thing over here. And then we put the little baffle deals here to help keep the sound shooting forward. He'd added the dyno mat on there. And then all the wiring goes back to backbone. And then here, came through the bottom, we had sealed it up, came up. Again, he did all the dyno matting here. We brought our wiring here. Quick disconnect, we ever had to release it. And then we got all of our wiring back there, soldered everywhere. So it worked out really well. Like I said, oh, and then obviously can't forget the head unit. So got our nice little separate head unit there. And that's the system how it is today. It's super cool to see a system that we did so long ago. I want to say this system's been in this bike for 5+ years, completely solid, doing its thing. It's just playing, going. Super awesome to see it come back. We're gonna go take it outside, let y'all listen to it, and then we're gonna deliver it to its customer.
Yeah, the tryna mess with your mind or something. They tryna play with your grind or something. They wanna see you back off of your calling, yet they tryna mess with your shine or something. For lack of a vision, and people compare us, commit to the climb, even when it hurts. Only two things in life you can control is how you spend time and how hard you work. So hard work, God first, yeah. Hard work, God first, yeah. Hard work, God first, yeah. To the day I'm in the dirt, yeah. Jesus Christ is Lord.
That is a wrap for this video. I just wanted to take y'all down a trip down memory lane, I guess we can call it. It's just super nice to see a bike that we did so long ago. And like I said, this bike right here is what started Davidson Audio 100%. This got me down the rabbit hole, and then it wasn't until I sold this, got the Indian Challenger, which that one's not mine, that's Bill's, but the Indian Challenger is what really rooted Davidson Audio as the Indian audio specialist. But this Victory Cross Country here is what started my passion for motorcycle audio. So I hope you all enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. I know it kind of rambled on at times, and that is my apologies. I just sometimes just going down memory lane kind of jars up other things. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you want to come down here to beautiful Panama City, Florida for an install, don't forget our address is 1901 West 15th Street, Panama City, Florida 32401. Come on down here. We'd love to have you here, get you audio system installed and set up correctly, or give us a call sometime at 607-800-1032. And don't forget, make sure you like and you subscribe to the channel, as we got a lot of cool content coming up. So for that, Brandon with Davidson Audio, and this video is a wrap.